I want to bring up what was probably the thing I was most offended by in all of Cooper's allegations, which is the idea that if you were to read Mein Kampf when it was originally published, and if you were to actually listen to Hitler's speeches, his anti-Semitism wasn't really a properly held belief, that it was much later. And it's not entirely clear to me the position, but it seems to be that there's an emphasis that Goebbels was actually the one pushing for the Holocaust, which I think this comes back to David Irving somewhat.
Yeah.
This seems to be quite a key part of the this kind of Neo-Irvingism.
That's right. Yes.
And I guess it's a simple question: is it wrong to suggest, for example, that Hitler wasn't really making anti-Semitic speeches? I looked into it, and there were anti-Semitic speeches really from the beginning of his political career.
Yeah. His first surviving piece of writing is a letter from 1919, right at the beginning of his political career, which is anti-Semitic. It says there's there's a world Jewish conspiracy. We have to treat it rationally. We can't just go out and sort of murder Jews. We have to have a proper plan for getting rid of them. And his last recording, writing his political testament, which I talked about earlier in our conversation, again, that ends by saying to the Germans of future generations, you've got to carry on the struggle against the Jews. So It was absolutely visceral. His anti-Semitism was a core belief.
Wow.
And he carried others like Goebbels with him because Goebbels was a kind of fanatical admirer of Hitler's. I mean, we have Goebbels' diaries. You have 32 volumes of Goebbels' diaries, and he's one of these compulsive diarists who can't finish a day without writing about it. And of course, they're, like any other historical source, they have its problems. But on the whole, they record. I mean, they're very interesting for recording Hitler's views on things. And Goebbels said, he is the proponent of the most radical solution. So
Hitler was, yeah.
Hitler was. Yes, Hitler was. I mean, it's only between the national election of 1928 when the Nazis get less than 3% of the national vote. I mean, they're a lunatic fringe party in 1928. And that's often forgotten. It's not just Hitler's genius. It's the larger circumstances and the context that propel them into being the largest party. 4 years later, it's hugely, very, very quick, rapid growth.
Right.
But in 1928, they concluded, well, anti-Semitism not working. It doesn't have a popular public appeal.
After that election, they thought this...
After that election, they played it down. Yeah.
So they did play it down?
They just for a short time in election campaigns. As soon as they come to power in 1933, it gets ramped up again. So one of the first things they do is to have a nationwide boycott of Jewish shops and premises on the 1st of April 1933. And that then becomes a central policy of the government.
Right. And Kristallnacht, of course, 37, I think. 38, forgive me.
9th to 10th November 1938.
And Irving made the claim that that Hitler was not privy to Kristallnacht, in fact, even argued against it.
No, this is not true at all. I mean, again, we need to know this from, there's a chapter in my book about Kristallnacht.
Yeah.
This is a nationwide pogrom in which 7,500 Jewish shops were trashed. And it's called, in Berlin, with that kind of rather bitter humour that Berliners have, the night of glass shards or the night of broken glass, because in the next morning there was glass outside on the pavement, on the sidewalk, from these trash shops. And pretty well every synagogue in Germany was burnt to the ground in this. And on Hitler's explicit orders, 30,000 Jewish men were arrested and put in camps until they said that they were going to emigrate from the country. And we know, if you have an accurate, if you piece together the evidence again accurately, we know that it was Hitler who ordered this. It was supposedly revenge for the murder of a minor official in the German embassy in Paris by a young Jew who objected to his family being deported his parents being deported from Germany. And it was Goebbels who gave the orders. But before that, he and Hitler were discussing it at a table, discussing it quite openly with each other. We're seen discussing it and so on.
Yeah. So, I mean, just before we move on from Cooper, I just would like to make the point that Cooper has referenced Irving several times, just for the sake of completeness.
Yeah.
He's in a January 12th post, 2025, he said, "Did I read all of David Irving's books in preparation for this series? Answer, no, but most of them." He referring to the book, Irving's book on Goebbels, he wrote that it's a good book. Mr. Irving goes deeper into primary sources than any other author on the topic, IMO, in my opinion. And he also, in a podcast with Noam Dworman, who's actually been on this show in September 24, he does say specifically he's going to the David Irving argument when it came to Churchill being bailed out by financiers in 38 and 40, which he claims did happen. So it is absolutely, Cooper is unapologetic, and he's actually posted photographs of Irving's books as examples of his research. So it is the case that he's referencing Irving.
And Irving, of course, does go in very deeply into all the sources. It's what he does with them when he gets there. Yeah. That's the problem.
Right.
He manipulates and falsifies them.
Yeah.
That was shown in the judgment. I mean, Mr. Cooper should read the judgment in the Irving trial from the year 2000, which is published by Penguin Books and it's available online. Yeah, you can read the whole proceedings of the trial or their verbatim transcripts.
It's when a historian gets so wrong, it's strange to me that any of it should be taken seriously.
Yeah. And as I said, it's so much so wrong, all in the same direction. It's not a random carelessness.
Thanks for watching this clip from the Winston Marshall Show. You can click here to watch the full episode, and for more clips like this one, don't forget to subscribe. And as always, be well.